In a small, tightly knit village in Nigeria, deep in the lush landscape of Ogun State, there lived a woman named Funke. She was in her late 30s, and as the eldest daughter in her family, she bore the weight of many expectations. While her sisters had all married and settled down with children, Funke remained single, a subject of endless gossip and speculation in the village. Her neighbors claimed she was cursed, while her own family whispered that perhaps she had displeased the gods. In truth, she simply hadn't met the right person, and her family's constant pressure only made her more hesitant about marriage. However, her mother, a devout believer in traditional customs, was deeply worried. She visited several spiritualists and herbalists, each of whom suggested that Funke's misfortune could be rooted in a family curse, something her ancestors had neglected to address. After several consultations, an elderly spiritual healer offered a solution that shocked everyone: to cleanse her spirit and appease the ancestors, Funke must marry a tree. At first, Funke scoffed at the idea, finding it absurd and embarrassing. But over time, the pressure from her family and the village became unbearable. Her mother reminded her daily of how her younger sisters' marriages were flourishing, while she continued to bring shame to their family. Torn between her desire for peace and her family's insistence, Funke reluctantly agreed to the marriage. The spiritual healer chose an ancient Iroko tree that stood in the heart of the village. The Iroko tree was said to have spirits residing in it and was believed to be hundreds of years old. Under the healer's guidance, preparations for the ceremony began. Villagers gathered, curious and fascinated by the unfolding ritual. Some watched with pity, while others mocked the spectacle, convinced that Funke's single status had driven her to madness. On the day of the ceremony, Funke was dressed in a white gown, with beads adorning her neck and wrists. She looked every bit like a bride, except that her groom was the towering tree. A priest chanted prayers in an ancient language, calling upon the ancestors to accept her offering. Funke, struggling to maintain her composure, followed the ritual, feeling both embarrassed and detached from the surreal experience. The priest instructed her to pour palm wine around the tree's roots as a sign of devotion. She then placed her hands on the tree's rough bark, silently repeating vows as if it were her actual partner. The priest declared her married to the tree, and her family, along with a few curious onlookers, cheered. After the ritual, Funke returned to her normal life, though she carried a strange sense of peace. Whether it was due to the ceremony itself or simply the relief of meeting her family's expectations, she felt as if a burden had been lifted from her shoulders. Over time, the villagers stopped talking, and she became somewhat of a local legend. Months later, something extraordinary happened. Funke met a man named Adibeo, who was passing through the village. He was gentle and kind, and unlike others, he never mentioned the rumors or the unusual marriage to the tree. They spent hours talking, their bond growing stronger with each conversation. Before long, Adibeo proposed, and Funke, having finally found love, accepted. As the village prepared for her wedding to Adibeo, the irony wasn't lost on anyone. People whispered that the ritual had worked, that the tree had blessed her union. Some even claimed that they had seen the Iroko tree flourishing more than ever, its leaves greener, its roots stronger. On her wedding day, Funke passed by the ancient Iroko tree, her first husband, and felt a strange sense of gratitude. Though she had once resented the ritual, she now saw it as a journey that led her to where she was meant to be. She touched the tree one last time, feeling the rough bark beneath her fingers and silently thanking it, whether it truly held spirits or not. Funke's marriage to Adibeo was filled with love and respect, a testament to her patience and resilience. Her story, once the subject of ridicule, became an inspiring tale about faith, family, and the unexpected paths life sometimes takes. Over time, villagers came to see her marriage to the tree not as a sign of desperation but as a lesson in humility and patience. Funke's story lived on, reminding everyone of the mysteries in their traditions and the hidden blessings in their own lives.